It's a waiver wire Tuesday, and we're going to cover a bunch of wide receivers going into week 8 to help you get those pickups for your fantasy team. We're going over the deep plays, we're going over the not so deep plays, but we're covering a lot of wide receivers. The only YouTube channel out there that goes deep at wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end, all throughout the week, every week. You need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking more waivers later today. We're using these videos to help you set your lineups. We're going to do deep dives on all the trending players, going over the advanced analytics with multiple videos. You watch those a la carte style, but you're not going to find the ones you want unless you subscribe. Ric Flair's watching you too, so you don't want to disappoint him. Click that button, stop missing out. But we're going to start off with one of our favorite wide receivers, a guy we've been watching for years, a guy that helped build the channel we did so much content on, and it's Rashod Bateman. Rashod Bateman, former first-round pick, very productive out of Minnesota, good ball skills, getting deep downfield consistently this year. Every week he's up there in air yards, getting some volume too. Going into this game, he had a 17% target share, 13 point something average depth of target, and you knew in the right matchup there's potential he would explode. He's been great in fantasy, or at least good in fantasy for you, in 4 out of the last 5 games. So he's been productive. He needs rostered. Someone needs to roster this guy in your league. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not, but he's proven to be a deep threat that's getting volume downfield, and he's cooking guys with the route running too. He's cooking guys. I had a post on Twitter. I was going over his routes last week or the week before. He cooked this DB up. He's spinning guys up in the spin cycle with the route running. He's always done that, but we've been coming back from injuries pretty much the whole career. Last year was just coming back from that Liz Frank, just getting right. He was cooking guys with the route running, just not getting the production. Started things off a little slow this year. We were getting a lot of deep balls though, and we called that out because the air yards were heavy. They were heavy. Rashod Bateman needs rostered in every league, and he might be a headache due to the deep balls, due to the nature of the offense. But Lamar Jackson's looking good. Rashod Bateman's healthy and looking good. This is a wide receiver you need to look at. It's finally time for Rashod Bateman. Took us some years. Well, it's finally time. Now we're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're looking at these wide receivers. Chris Godwin's probably going to be out for a long time, probably for the whole year. We have not seen the news on that yet, but probably for the whole year. Mike Evans banged up too. Jalen McMillan was getting a lot of news in training camp. We covered the training camp clips. Has a report, Baker Mayfield started off hot this season, but now it's his time to shine. Now it's his time to get a workload. Can he capture this moment? Because this is going to be an opportunity for him to prove his worth. But he might be a wide receiver you look at off the waiver wire because of the upside in this offense. There's a lot of volume here. Something's got to give. He's probably going to play more of that Chris Godwin role, moved around the offense in the slot, probably getting those opportunities. You're also looking at Trey Palmer here because he's got deep speed. He's proven he can be productive in spurts. He can bring in those deep balls. That being said, if Mike Evans is out for a bit, Trey Palmer is going to get that deep ball role. And he's going to get some opportunities. He's got a rapport in the offense. Big time recruit going to LSU, 4-star prospect. This is a player that transferred to Nebraska, instantly broke out. He's got good ball skills downfield. He isn't a guy that you're taking a waiver claim on as a lottery ticket, just like Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan's probably going to be forecasted for more volume. Trey Palmer's probably forecasted for more air yards, deeper targets, bigger splash plays. Sterling Shepard is the crafty vet. He's been getting work as of late, getting more routes, more snaps, not materializing to fantasy production, but he could be the sneaky play. The other 2 wide receivers, they're going to get talked up a lot, and everybody's going to pick them up, and I would pick him up due to more upside, but Sterling Shepard could be the sneaky play as the more reliable bet for the offense, NFL football terms, due to his experience, due to his craftiness. That being said, Sterling Shepard should not be slept on. I'd be looking at him in deeper leagues, 14-team plus, probably more 16-team leagues. And now we're looking at the Detroit Lions. Jameson Williams will be out 2 games, and we're looking at Kalif, Raymond, and Tim Patrick. Last week, about the same amount of routes, 13 to 10. Tim Patrick ran more routes, a 44.8% route participation rate. However, Kalif Patrick got that touchdown, got more opportunities with 4 targets. I think it's going to be a battle of targets here. Raymond has been in the offense longer. He is the incumbent. Tim Patrick was productive with the Broncos prior to all the injuries, and he's just ramping back up. Raymond might be the guy you're going after, and a lot of people are going to say to go after him, but I would not be surprised if it's dicey between the 2 wide receivers. If I had to put chips on these wide receivers, it would be Kalif Raymond. You're playing matchups with this. You're not loving it. You would have to be hurting at wide receiver. You have to be kind of decimated there. You have to put them in your lineup like now or next week. That being said, you're looking at these wide receivers as stopgaps to get you through the week. We have some different options this week due to injuries, and you may not be looking his way. That being said, Jauan Jennings was out last week. Brandon Ayuk's going to be out for a long time, and you may want to pick him up off waivers because Deebo Samuel's dealing with an illness. Should be back sooner than later. That shouldn't keep him out for long. But Jennings here, proven to be productive this year. He's proven to be productive. We can't argue against that. So he's going to be back sooner than later, and he's going to get more volume in the offense. Something to look at. But Ricky Pearsall saw a 16.1% target share last week, but we had wide receivers in and out of the offense. We ran 31 routes and 83.8% route participation rate. That's what I like more because he was in on the whole game. You cannot run an 83.8% route participation rate and only play it in the fourth quarter. He's getting work. He's getting volume. He's getting looks. He's a very sudden wide receiver. This is the opportunity you're looking for the first-round pick, and he's a guy that could go off on you. He's a lottery ticket. I don't think he's the greatest prospect ever. I did like him as an under-the-radar wide receiver before he got drafted in the first round, and then he got put on notice. But in Dynasty Fantasy Football, since he was an older prospect that got drafted in the first round, he kind of went at a discount. So I like the discount there. He is an older wide receiver for a rookie, but he's also very sudden, very nuanced, and he's in a situation here that could allow him to see more work than anticipated. Jacob Cowing, the late round pick here, is a very good wide receiver prospect. He broke out with 2 different collegiate programs. He's a great route runner. He did not run on as many routes, 8 routes, but that should increase due to the injuries, and is a wide receiver to monitor. If I'm in a deeper league, I'm looking at him just in case. 16-teamer, 14-teamer, 18-teamer, whatever the hell it is. If I'm rostering or starting 5 wide receivers a week and I got deeper benches, I might be looking at him. Jacob Cowing, a very good nuanced wide receiver who can play the slot, who could earn more opportunity due to this injury situation. Keon Coleman is one of those wide receivers who's just going to do this throughout his career. And we're starting to look like that. We're starting to ramp up to that. And the reason why is the contested catch play downfield every game. We bring it in, we're splashing. We get overshot, we ain't splashing. If that DB gets into the breadbasket, we ain't splashing. We drop it, we ain't splashing. But we're going to get a few deep balls every game. We're going to get those moments where we're going to be productive. We were productive last week. And it's about a game every 3 or so that he hits. On average, we had a good route participation rate, a 13.9 ADOT, which he's always going to have a good ADOT downfield. We also got Amari Cooper there, who's going to soak up more targets, ramp up in the offense, and be the man. But Keon Coleman on the opposite side, even though they weren't playing together on the field much, he's going to be getting more opportunity and some different looks. And he's going to get different looks overall as we get deeper into the season because of that rookie ramp up. Probably be better for next year, but also a guy to play the matchups with if you're hurting. Troy Franklin is emerging. One of my favorite rookie wide receivers from a talent aspect, from a cerebral aspect with how smart he plays the game. Talent-wise, up there with Keon Coleman, I liked him better coming out for the draft, fell in the draft. But he's a wide receiver who's overcoming his draft stock right now, running 22 routes, 66.7 route participation rate, and 6 targets. Played with Bo Nix. Bo Nix looks his way when he's on the field. He's starting to get more workload these last 2 games, over a 50% snap share in each of those. He's getting more opportunities in the offense, and he's probably going to build on that throughout the rest of the season. Troy Franklin is a wide receiver to monitor for the rest of the year. because he's starting to get that work. He's starting to simmer. And we're looking at Romeo Doubs. Honestly, at this point, should be rostered in your league. But we have a carousel effect in Green Bay. I've been saying this for multiple years now. Any wide receiver on the offense can get it on any given Sunday. 10 targets, good route participation rate, good target share, good air yards, and it's like this every week. He gets the workload. He's always running a lot of routes. He's a safer bet week to week compared to the other Packers wide receivers not named Jaden Reed. That being said, he should be rostered on some team. Jalen Tolbert, it's the Cowboys. They're going to be up and down. We know the Cowboys. Everybody jokes about the Cowboys every single day. So don't be surprised. A guy like Jalen Tolbert who's starting to see more routes and opportunities in this system here have some low points, but he's still going to get volume with Brandon Cooks out. We have a horrible matchup on the road against the Niners. That's not going to be bodeful for him. But Jalen Tolbert, if you're looking for workload on the steady, it's going to be him going forward in this Cowboys offense next to CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. And now we're looking at Jerry Jeudy. He should be rostered. He should be rostered, but not pick him up. Pick him up because we're going to be seeing a lot of routes ran. We're going to be seeing a lot of snaps, a 98.2% route participation rate, 10.4% target share though. But it was a weird matchup because we had quarterbacks in and out of the lineup. We played 3 quarterbacks in this game. But the work rate's there. We ran 56 routes. That's a hell of a lot of routes. He's going to get a lot of opportunity. Look at Jerry Jeudy. Look at Cedric Tillman. He blew up in this matchup. Ran on 82.5% of the routes. We ran 47 routes in this game. He's getting work. He's getting opportunity. And out of Tennessee, before the injury, he was one of the top wide receivers in college football. He was looking very good. He was one of the few big wide receivers in last year's draft class in 2023, and they had to draft him a little bit higher than expected. But in this offense, he could excel in this moment with this opportunity because of the size of just athleticism, getting it deep downfield, and 8 out of 10.6. That could increase on the weekly there, considering he got 12 targets. But he's a guy that could go off and be a surprise down the stretch. Dontayvion, Wicks, when he catches the ball, he's okay. When he catches the ball, he's all right. He creates separation. He's good at that. Carousel effect here at wide receiver because Love's good and there's a lot of volume in the offense. Ran a 45.9% route participation rate. If you're hurting at wide receiver and you want a lottery ticket, Wicks is going to be on a lot of waiver wires. You can always pull that lottery ticket and pray for the best. Xavier Legette is another lottery ticket. He can hit on any given Sunday. He can bust on any given Sunday. He's that type of wide receiver. Ran a lot of routes here considering it was a low volume game. 19 routes, 86.4% route participation rate. Considering that was 19 routes with an 86.4% route participation rate, almost 90%, you could tell that this matchup was not favorable for fantasy production for Xavier Legette, so you got to give him grace with that. We still earned 3 targets and almost a 20% target share. Something to look at here. Trey Tucker's always going to get 5+ targets a game. He's always going to get that volume. He's going to be a guy that you pull a lottery ticket on and you pray to the gods that he hits. He's always going to get 5+ targets. You're going to be looking at that. You're going to look at a 95% route participation rate. You're not going to see many wide receivers like that on the waiver wire. You might this week because all of a sudden on Monday night, wide receivers started dropping like flies even when they weren't even playing. But Trey Tucker here, he's going to get you 5+ targets. He's going to get you a good target share. He's going to get you a good A-dot. He's going to run a lot of routes. That being said, you may want that to play gambles with. Turpin here is getting volume over these last 2 weeks. Another wide receiver to look at. If he cashes in, he cashes in. Maybe, maybe not. We got to play with Jalen Tolbert and CeeDee Lamb in this offense. So the volume might be a little bit sus and may not be as consistent as you like. DK Metcalf dealing with an injury. Jake Bobo looked good in training camp. We're looking at Jackson Smith-Njigba, Lockett and company, Noah Fant. There's a lot of options in this offense. If you're in a 16-teamer plus, maybe 18-teamer, 20-teamer, you're looking at Jake Bobo as a what-the-heck pickup because most of the wide receivers I already talked about aren't there. Jake Bobo could be a guy that surprises you. He did run on almost 40% of the routes. That's something to look at in this offense. And if DK's out for a bit, you might be wanting him. Cedric Wilson got some run here. We were looking at Bub Means last week, but I told you to hold your horses a little bit on him because of the nature of the offense. Of course, with Spencer Rattler and them back there, but we ran on 66.7% of the routes, 7 targets in this game. Another wide receiver to draw a straw on. I don't think you're going to be too excited about that, but if you have to, you have to. He's not one of my guys, though. Noah Brown starting to get some volume in this offense. We're starting to see him pop up in the work rate reports. 60.7% route participation rate. Not really one of my guys I'd be chasing for off the waiver wire. But if you need the volume, if you're in a deeper league, you're hurting, there you go. There's a guy. Kayshon I love the talent. One of my favorite wide receivers in last year's class. A guy that I've been rooting for. An 88.1% route participation rate. And his volume has been increasing. He's a guy that's simmering right now. Could blow up with Drake May. And he was a big-time wide receiver prospect at LSU. One of the top wide receivers in the country before he had the ankle injury. He might be coming back. He might be coming back. And if that happens, and he's a league winner down the stretch, you may want to look now. You may want to get him early if you got the space. Most of you don't, though. Elijah Moore. If you're looking for a Browns wide receiver, not named Jeudy or Cedric Tillman, and you do not want to pay up the fab, he's going to run a lot of routes. 70% route participation rate, 7 targets, 14.6% target share. He's going to get a lot of the short targets. He's going to be moved around a lot in the offense. They're going to use him. They like him. And they like Elijah Moore for what he is. They traded for him. He's got speed to burn. This is a wide receiver that gets a lot of work in this offense. And last year he had some games pushing around a 20% target share. He had a lot of low moments last year, but this offense is just weird. But if you're looking for a Browns wide receiver on the cheap and you do not want to pay the fab for, Elijah Moore's a cheap get. Juju Smith-Schuster, because he's Juju Smith-Schuster in the Chiefs offense. He's probably rostered in your league, but he was out. That being said, if you got returns to the waiver wire, give him a quick look because he might be worth picking up for you.